They say there's only trouble in Miami during spring break, but that's not true. There's also Malik Washington. So this past week, I took my talents to South Beach and talked to Malik about his rookie season, playing under McDaniel, some of the nuances of the receiver position. I hope you guys enjoy, and if you do, consider hitting subscribe. Good to see you.
How we doing?
How are you been?
Yeah.
Good. Do you recognize this play?
Yeah.
Miami will have no timeouts. This will be taken. And Malik Washington weaving his way, finding a gap, runs into Cross and runs over. He trucked him.
Did he truck him? He definitely trucked him. Oh my goodness.
48-yard kickoff return.
What possessed you to run over the kicker like that?
I think it's one of those instances where like you were planning for something else and then like the kicker, he didn't move. And so I was like, well, I mean, now I just have to go through it. Like I have no other option. I wanted to get him to go inside and then I have the sideline, but he didn't move at all. So
His tackling form was too good. He didn't bite on the juke, right?
I mean, he knew what he was doing. He just didn't have the, abilities to carry it out.
We used you as kick return at UVA, right? So was that something that when they brought you in, they said they wanted that to be a part of your game?
The Dolphins?
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, especially being a later round pick, you kind of have to contribute on special teams in some way. And so finding a role there, whether it's punt return, kick return, or on just the basic teams, you do have to find a role.
Yeah. Well, flashback to UVA, right? Because the last time I had you sitting down like this, you're a receiver on a team that, I'm allowed to say it wasn't doing too hot,
Yeah.
right? They were losing some games, but you were there and you were putting up 100 yards after 100 yards after 100 yards. And, I'm new to it. I was a freshman at school, and I'm thinking, like, I don't know what an NFL receiver looks like, but that seems like one. Sure enough, you go and get drafted. So take me through, like, from when you ended your season at UVA to the whole, draft process, the combine, everything like that.
Yeah, I think it's a process, like you said. It's kind of new to me as well, but basically after you finished up with that, you kind of go right into getting ready for draft prep. And so in January, I came down to Fort Lauderdale and started my draft prep with XPE. And all you're trying to do is get fast. All you're trying to do is like be strong, slim down, cut body fat, like all the things that you bulked up in college, and all you did was eat and play football. And now you get a chance to really, develop that work ethic and get ready for the NFL. So kind of that process happened there. Then you're doing that up until the combine, and then once you have the combine, you move on to pro day, and different things like that all the way up until the draft.
I want to know about the combine because it's easy to say, it's the underwear Olympics. It's not really football. You're a guy who benefited from the combine, right? I mean, you ran what, 4.44?
4.47.
Okay, 4.47.
Yeah.
So great 40 time. You benefited from it, but is it overvalued, would you say, in the process?
I think it's something, well, the main thing about the combine is the interview process, and I don't think the fans, obviously they don't see the interviews, or they don't really care about the interviews. They just want to see the 40s and different things like that. So for them, they think it's like, it doesn't mean anything. But for us, it's a ability to be there for a week, to be around coaches, to be in a kind of setting that challenges us, and to talk to GMs and owners and coaches all in one room and get a chance to get to know the organization and they get to know us.
The combine question, right, is always like, you hear stories of like the most, insane question guys receive. Did you ever have anyone, ask you something crazy at the combine?
No, I didn't have anybody ask me anything like outlandish or crazy, but there's like segments where they'll literally put up just your bad plays, and like they'll just click through and they'll be like, what are you doing here? Like, what's happening here? Why did you do this? And just kind of grilling you on like all your bad plays, and that kind of gets hard when it's like, all right, I've done good things too. Like, why are we only watching the things I've done wrong?
Right, and I mean, is that mostly to see like how you react to that? Because there's probably like, they want to see some competitiveness, but they also want to see that you can, handle, your faults and know how to improve. Like, was that something that you went through with the Dolphins? Can you remember going through, that low light reel with them?
No, with the Dolphins, I didn't actually talk to them like a good bit, kind of in the pre-draft process. I talked to them one time at the combine, just kind of getting to know them, and we went through a little bit of film, but we didn't really have that grilling session.
Sorry. So what was, was McDaniel in the room? Do you remember that?
No, I was talking to the receivers coach.
Okay, sweet. So tell me about him. Like, is he a cool guy? Was he an intense interview? What was he like?
I think, it's really cool because it's a unique experience. We got Wes Welker, who is, that's a Hall of Fame receiver in my eyes, and somebody who's probably the best slot receiver to play in the NFL. And so having the ability to be coached by, having the ability to sit down and see somebody that we only watched on TV, and it was kind of like, wow, this guy's way above us, and now we're sitting in front of him. So that was really cool and an awesome learning experience for me.
But how about McDaniel though? Like, when was the first time you met Mike McDaniel?
I think the first time I met him was actually like when I got, to the building and everything, and we first got out there, and he came and met the rookie class and stuff, and we talked to him, and just seeing his personality, shine all the way from day one up until now is like that. That's exactly who you see on TV.
I guess, I mean, how he presents himself the first time you meet him kind of stays the same, right? Like,
yeah,
he's real that way.
Yeah.
Is he, do you have a Mike McDaniel story?
I mean, Mike, he creates a different story every single day. I mean, whether it's a team meeting, out on the practice, he would say things to me to see if I would react. He would say like little sly comments, little things like you're scared, you're not ready, like different things like that. He would come up to me before the games and be like, hey, somebody make sure this rookie's not scared and all this stuff. So that's just kind of the personality he is. He loves to joke around, he loves to have fun, but he's also like, he's a mastermind of football. Like, he really understands it, really loves it, spends all his time on football.
Yeah, I want to know about that. I mean, because he is, right? And it was cool when you got drafted here, because it's like, very at the forefront of like, some new football principles, right? Like an offense that we really haven't seen before. Talk to me about how, he kind of laid out this offense to you guys, and what it was like to learn it.
Yeah, it's not positionless football, but it's a type of football where everybody can do everything, and that's kind of what he wants. He wants the slot receivers to be able to play outside. He wants us to also be able to line up in the backfield. He wants his running backs to line up outside. He wants his tight ends to do, a multitude of things. So for him, it's like he wants a group of guys that are so versatile and can get the job done any which way, and that's kind of the way we play football on Sundays.
Yeah, I mean, as a slot, like, you guys with all the condensed splits, you guys are a big part of the run game. Talk to me about, that area of your game. I mean, does it come naturally to you?
I think that was something that I really had to improve on, from the day that I got there, and to really realizing okay, Mike, he wants, you have to be able to block. If you don't block, you're not going to play in his offense. You're not going to make the team in this type of setting. So in college, you didn't really have, especially if you were, a little bit higher up and stuff, and you were getting the ball, you didn't really have to block as much. So learning that transition, Tyreek is literally throwing blocks on DNs and stuff like that. So it doesn't really matter who you are, how much you're getting paid, or what your name is. You have to block, and that's something you got to embrace.
Can you think back to a moment of you had to crack, I don't know, Myles Garrett? Who is the guy where it's oh my gosh, we're running this toss my direction and I got to crack this defensive end? Was there ever a moment of holy cow?
Yeah, it's probably Maxx Crosby, and
okay.
He's the highest non-paid quarterback in NFL history. So
it's funny you say that, because when they did the Hard Knocks, the in-season, there was a whole episode practically devoted to him.
Yeah.
Because it's McDaniel, and he's talking about this guy will ruin the game. We have got to game plan for him. You got to be ready for him. What is it like game planning as a receiver for Maxx Crosby?
I think it's difficult because he's a guy that can throw so many things at you, and he's obviously bigger, stronger than a lot of guys on the field. So just having a plan, you have to have some type of plan, like Mike talks about. You have to have some kind of plan to shut that kind of guy down, because he will disrupt the game, and there's a lot of guys like that in the league. So just being prepared and going into it with the mindset of don't let him be the one-man wrecking show.
Sure. And how about he stands out as someone on another team. The Dolphins have some guys. Jalen Ramsey, Tyreek Hill. Who was the guy for you when you entered the locker room and oh my gosh, I've watched this guy since I was in high school or something like that? Who was that alpha guy that you saw when you entered the locker room?
Yeah, I would say on the defensive side of the ball, it'd probably be Jalen Ramsey. Everybody's heard of sound bites. Everybody's seen him play at an all-pro level. We all know who Jalen Ramsey is, and there's nobody's walking on that field without knowing who number 5 is. So seeing that guy in person and being able to go against him, and whether it's getting releases after practice or during practice reps, you just know you're getting better each rep.
Yeah, what is it like facing Jalen Ramsey?
It's hard. You have to kind of bring your A game every single time. There's no times where you can slack off or run a lazy route or something like that. You have to be prepared, because he is a bigger guy. He will jam you at the line of scrimmage, so being prepared.
Was there anything that surprised you, going up against him, his quickness or his, the way he prepares, or was it a mental thing, a physical thing, where you're oh, this is kind of, not that there's one thing, but maybe something you underrated about his game?
Yeah, I think for him, and I think this is, true with the widespread of the NFL, but he has like the physical ability to do just about anything, but like you can tell he is a student of the game. He understands route concepts. He understands what's going on. He understands quarterback's intentions. So even if you run this great route, he already knew that the ball was going to be out after the third step. So, different things like that you have to really, now you have to up your mental game and be prepared and outsmart him sometimes.
How about Tyreek, playing with him, and Waddle? When you got drafted, it's like, holy cow, they got some guys in that room. It's almost an uphill battle to make that roster just because of the guys over there. So it's a testament to your ability that you did. But what's one thing that you've taken from each of those guys?
I think for those two guys specifically, like you don't realize how fast they are until you're sitting at practice and really watching it. And even when you go sit down and watch the film and you're like on the other side and you're like, well, he's already 10 yards ahead. So seeing how fast those guys are, how they play the game, they play with a different level of intensity. But I would say the things that I learned from those guys is just like approaching the work every single day with like this is, I'm going to get better today. Some days, especially in camp, when it gets monotonous, you're like, man, I just want to get through this. I want to get through this. But those guys really attacked every practice. And they didn't take anything for granted.
That's funny because I think of, Tyreek off the field as this big persona. Is he like that in the receiving room?
He's Tyreek's himself. Tyreek's always going to be himself. He's unapologetic. He's himself. But I think the way that he approaches work is different, and you can tell that he's been to the Pro Bowl. He's been All-Pro. He's done all these great things because of the way that he approaches his work.
Let's go to your first touchdown. So take me in. Your first touchdown on Monday Night Football.
Here is a toss. And on the run into the end zone, diving Malik Washington for the touchdown.
This is actually weird. So we flew up to LA and we were going through the opening script and everything, and it was supposed to be Tyreek's play. He was supposed to do it, but it was depending on what happened earlier, how it happened. If Tyreek had another play earlier, then I would get this play. And so it ended up happening that way, and I ended up getting this play and then scoring my first NFL touchdown. So it was a really cool experience, and me and OBJ had talked about it and was like, oh, we're going to do this when I score, blah, blah, blah. Just kind of hyping it up like you do, not actually thinking it's going to actually happen.
Yeah.
So for it to actually happen, it all to come to life was really cool.
So did you have a celebration with Odell? Is that him sprinting over there?
Yeah, that's him sprinting over there. And I had one in my head, but then once it actually happened, I was like, bro, because I never really thought I was like, oh man, we say this every week. I say I'm gonna score every week. So
that's another guy. That room was just chock full of talent. Was Odell, because he's a little older than Tyreek. How old were you when you were watching, Odell do his thing on the Giants?
I was watching Odell at LSU, so it's okay. I've been watching him since I was in middle school. Really, seeing him play, and everybody knows who Odell is, whether on the field or off the field. He's just created such a big brand for himself. So to actually be able to play with him and sit next to him in a meeting room and stuff like that was a real experience.
It's kind of surreal.
Yeah.
Is he another guy where it's you don't get to this level without the incredible work ethic, but is he one where he has the attention to detail? Did you pick anything up from his game?
Yeah, I think for him, he really gave me a mental side of the game and would give me little pep talks all the time and things to keep me going and stuff, especially through the long NFL season as a rookie. You're still trying to figure everything out, and he was giving advice throughout the season and just really letting me know, bro, everything's going to be okay. Whether it's your time now, whether it's your time later, your time is going to come. So really being in my ear about that type of stuff.
Do you have a welcome to the NFL moment?
Probably Green Bay. It was freezing in Green Bay. We're playing in
It's Thanksgiving night.
Thanksgiving night, primetime game. Green Bay's doing well at this point too.
Yeah.
They're well on their way to the playoffs. Historic stadium, all the things are crashing down.
So is that cool? You're a football fan.
Yeah.
Beyond just it's work for some guys, but it is cool for you to go into Lambeau Field on Thanksgiving night.
It's a dream. It's the things that you watch when you were a kid, and you were so invested in as a kid, and you were just thinking man, one day I'm gonna be there. And so to actually fast forward and actually be there in that setting and looking around at the field and understanding where you are and the history that comes with it, I think that's really big for me.
How about the hardest hit you took all year?
I have to think
I saw a couple.
As far as processing pre-snap and just execution.
What a close on the football by Jelani Tavai that time.
That's not fair. That's not fair. That's not fair. So we're trying to get to a screen. We're going to motion to it, try to catch the defense, get some movement within the defense. He crashes down. We don't have a blocker for him at all, and it's a screenplay, so it's there's nothing I can do about it. I can't spin out of it in the middle of the air. So it was one of those things, like I could see him out of my peripheral view, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get hit, like, and I try to like brace for it, and the ball's a little like high, and I'm like, oh, just thinking like this can only go wrong.
3rd and 5. Tua in the middle is incomplete. Big hit on Malik Washington.
Yeah, there was a question mark of whether or not McDuffie was going to play. He's been nursing an ankle injury, and this is a huge play right here.
No, this is the moments that you realize, like, oh, I'm in the NFL. Like, in college, I don't even think guys would like even trigger that fast or like recognize like really what's going on and stuff like that. Or in college, guys stop their feet, and that's the biggest thing. Like in NFL, guys don't stop their feet; they run straight through all types of contact and stuff like that. So, like moments like that is when you get up and you're like, all right, you got to play like a little bit faster. You got to recognize things a little bit faster, and be in the right spots.
So when you say like, when people say the speed of the game, right? It's kind of like a trope. Like everyone says it. Like more physical, or is it more mental speed that can be overwhelming?
So the difference is in college, there's walk-ons, there's guys of all different levels from all different paths, combining on one team and playing on a Saturday. In the NFL, everybody is the best on their college team, and they're playing on Sunday. And so now everybody's running 4.4s, everybody's running 4.3s, everybody's fast, everybody's strong. And then there's the mental side of the game where guys are recognizing things faster and they're crashing on things faster, and they just know how to play like the game of football. And so when you get to that level, like they're moving way faster, plus they already are like physically faster than they were at the college level. So it's definitely different.
How hard is it to learn a playbook? Like McDaniel's playbook, I mean, there's like, you can find stuff online and it's like hundreds of pages long. Like, I think that's something that fans don't really realize is
Bro, I think it's something that like, I mean, it's a job, you know what I'm saying? So like, I think people just always think of us playing on Sunday and that's that one day, but like it's a full on 7-day a week, like studying a playbook all day, like trying to figure it out. And there's consequences to not figuring it out, obviously, not making the team, not playing, different things like that. But I think you really have to, any free time you get, you have to be trying to study the playbook, trying to understand the different terminology, the different routes that go with it. There's always new nuances in McDaniel's playbook, so trying to figure that out while also remembering the old stuff that you learned 3 months ago, you know, it's always building on one another.
Sweet. And how about individually building, you know, next year, what are some goals for you?
Yeah, I think, I mean, first and foremost, make the 53 because that's never guaranteed. So trying to make the 53, trying to be on the roster. But beyond that, I mean, I think it's time for me to take a big step in year 2 and start to really contribute on Sundays and not just be a here and there type guy, but be a substantial contributor, racking up rushing yards, racking up receiving yards, and then on special teams as well, like trying to be that all-around player for the Dolphins.
You mentioned, you know, like times get tough in training camp and you know, you need to have that mental fortitude, but was there a jokester, like is there a prankster or someone who like kind of kept it light? Yeah,
I mean, we have Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill in my room, so I mean, every single day is a joke, every single day is like a time to laugh and a time to have fun, and they really understand that like football is a game, and you know, it's fun. We're going to get our job done, we're going to get the work done, but we're going to enjoy this game while we have it because, you know, like football does not last forever, no sport does. So it's something that you really got to cherish in the moments, but have fun with it and really realize, man, we really are where we dreamed of. Anyone
that you watch outside of, you know, the room or the team, like other receivers that you really like?
Yeah, I think Amon-Ra St. Brown with the Lions does a really good job. Devontae Adams, wherever he is, like, I mean, he's always showing up. And I think seeing him when he was with the Jets, I didn't think he could move that well. Like, you know, I watched him before and I've seen his releases and stuff, but like, I mean, we played him twice because we played the Jets twice, and like, he moves like a little, like he moves like he's like a shifty guy.
This is the first catch in the NFL?
Yeah.
What are we seeing here? What went into this moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of, we're in that hurry up mode right now, and all we talk about is like just running efficient 5 to 6 yard routes. And so we got a stick route right here, and I mean, just getting out of your break, knowing the fundamentals of it. And Snoop went to me on this play, so now I get my first NFL catch.
So you mentioned like the low light reel that they showed you. So I don't want to, you know, pull off any Band-Aids, but I have a scouting report. But you ever seen like the Rich Eisen? He would like take all the positives out. Mm-hmm. So it was like an all negative scouting report.
Yeah.
I don't want to show you that if it's going to piss you off.
What do you got?
You want to read it?
Sure.
Okay.
Who's it from?
This is from Bleacher Report.
Let's see what they got.
You gonna read it out loud?
Limited vertical threat, projects almost exclusively to the slot. Frame presents challenges at the next level. Below average ability to deal with press coverage. Thinks he's faster than he is. Pre-game outfits lack. You wrote this.
I wrote the last one. This is all real though.
Yeah, I know.
I was pissed off looking at that.
Bro, I mean, it's something that they're going to say about anybody that's under like 6'1". Like, even if
don't
you're
really
6
want
foot
to-
now, they're
'cause-
saying like.
Dude, when I saw that, I was like, the Duke catch, if you remember that
Yeah.
one, where like, because that was the thing.
Well, I mean, you can go as early to JMU, like JMU catch, back shoulder, like Anthony threw the corner out a little bit inside. I think, but like I said, they're going to say this about anybody who's under like a certain height requirement.
Yeah.
They're going to say you're only a slot. You're going to say your frame presents challenges and you can't beat press. Like that's going to be labeled on everybody. So it's like kind of one of those things that you'll look back at the end of your career and be like, well, now what? You know?
Fucker. So when you think like, I mean, the frame is like, okay, whatever, that's lazy, but it's, that's true. But like the press thing is kind of ridiculous because it's like, if you get the twitch, it's like, it's not really size dependent. You see a bunch of guys who can't beat
And I
press
think in
size.
college football, like you want to manipulate your offense to where guys are not getting pressed. So like, you can't blame me because we didn't have many press opportunities. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah. So actually, I want to ask about that last thing. Steve Smith was one of the first guys who like, saw you and like gave you some shine. What was that like? Was he someone that you looked up to in that whole process?
Yeah, I mean the way that Steve plays the game and like seeing just the ferocity he plays the game, the way he talks, he backs all of it up on the field, and so seeing that kind of player, especially at his frame, similar to mine, it kind of gives you that hope that like, all right, I can really go do this, and I can do it at a high level. So getting some shine from him, getting some praise from him, and being able to connect with him was huge, especially for my career moving forward.
Yeah, sweet. Well, I mean, that's all I got. I don't want to take any more of your time, and this damn camera's overheating, but, appreciate seeing you.
Of course.
And good luck to you, obviously.
Thank you.
Moving forward.